Now, ordinarily, I would say hola, bom dia, tudo bem, and welcome to the Good Morning Portugal live stream, YouTube, and podcast. This is a bit odd. I should really be saying good evening, Portugal, boa tarde, Portugal. And it's because it's the first of our wine clubs with Eloise Healy here. You can see to my right on the screen. Good evening to you. Hola, boa tarde, Eloise.
Hola, boa tarde, Carl. Boa noite are we now? Boa noite is when it's gone darker.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And I thought it was hilarious when your friend, who I believe is your Portuguese teacher.
Yes, if she joins us tonight, Filomena, she's my Portuguese tutor.
But she said 9 o'clock's a bit early.
For wine. Maybe she was thinking in the morning, Carl.
Yeah. Oh no. Well, my experience of Portuguese partying is it really doesn't get started till sort of 11, does it, or midnight, and then it goes till 4 or 5 in the morning. That's a real hardcore partiers. But this is a somewhat restrained evening of wine tasting. But that said, and it was lovely talking to you just before, that you're not. Well, the problem, the cachet that goes with wine tasting is it can be a little bit on the pretentious side, and you're going to spare us that, aren't you? You've got a different approach, and you've got a beautiful wine to share with us tonight. Do you want to tell us about your approach and the wine in question this evening?
Well, my approach. Can I give you a little bit of background to why my interest in wine? Absolutely. In 2016, I in the darker, colder evenings in the UK, I took myself off to college, and one of the courses that they offered was through the Wine, Spirit and Education Trust. So I thought, this is great. I can go to college and taste wine and leave the kids at home with my husband. I'm up for that. So I went to college and sat a beginner's course in wine tasting, and really enjoyed it. And I signed up again for the intermediate class again. Now this started a bit of a journey for me, because this becomes a little bit more of a formal qualification. So I sat my wine, spirit and education training, and then I took myself down to London to the Wine, Spirit and Education offices, and there I went in, very formal, and I went and sat my exams. And when I looked around the room, there were people that had flown in from hotels in Dubai and big restaurants in London, and there was me having a bit of fun with my wine tasting. And so I passed, and I got my certification. Boa noite from Filomena. And yes, so that's a bit of history on my interest in wine. So I kind of put that on the back burner, really, because if I was to take the qualification any further, it probably would have meant a career in wine, and that wasn't something I was interested in. I had no desire to become a wine buyer or working with corporations with wine. It was just a bit of fun for me. I also found that it was becoming a little bit pretentious, and I am maybe you'll notice from the accent, I'm a northern. I'm a northern girl from Lancashire in the UK, and sometimes I just couldn't quite get my head around the terminology I was expected to be using. So I decided that was it. Then I'd step down, and then in late 2019, the family moved to Portugal, and it was actually yourself, Carl, that mentioned we should start a wine club, and that was when I thought, maybe I could dig out some of those old skills that I'd once had, and it's actually started off quite a journey for me.
Brilliant, absolutely.
So at the time, I was drinking a really nice, as you mentioned it, I was drinking a really nice wine from the Douro region in Portugal, and I took myself off to the supermarkets, and I was really quite impressed with what I saw. In that in the supermarkets there, a lot of the wine is just, all of the wine is just domestic wine, and it's displayed by wine region. And I struggle to see any other world wines in the supermarket. And I thought, wow, this could be a really interesting journey, because that keeps the price point quite low from some of the wines that I've experienced in the past. So
brilliant.
So yes, so you asked a little bit about the wine. So I wanted to stay with the Dow region, and I wanted to. I thought we could start here. I thought it would be a really nice journey for us if we liked this wine tasting club, that we could maybe travel the wine regions of Portugal together. I could I could freshen up on my skills, and we could all travel. So I thought we'd start in the Dow region with a Quinta de Vale premium Dow Tinto, a red wine. So yes.
There's a little bit about it, and that where you see that is, it tells you to eat with red meat and to
yes.
fry. You don't fry the wine, but you eat fried food. And this is really kind of dry information. It's helpful, isn't it? Intense ruby color. And I'm sure you're going to go through this, and that's the beauty of it, is that you're going to take us through it and we're going to taste it. It's not like dry text like we're seeing on here, but thanks to copying it, where
but I think if you understand the wines and you might see that although it is dry, those are the typical that's typical wine terminology that you would expect to see. And it's nice that they've put the food pairings on there as well, and maybe I'll go through that and explain. Depends on what the wine tastes like, and explain why you might want to pair with the things that they have suggested on there.
Well, they did say on there as well, which is farming cooperative, I think, or production company anyway. And sustainable agriculture, it says on the label.
Sustainable agriculture. So I tapped in that particular corporation. And I actually got right down into the Google Maps, because I actually wanted to see, in fact, I was looking for a building. I was looking for a building to see, who's producing this wine, and it was just a small little cluster of probably Quintas. And that particular wine region, there was a lot of wine. So it does look like there was a lot of vineyards in that area that I could see on the Google Maps. So it does look like it's a bit of a cooperative, like an agricultural group there. Cooperative, yeah, that's the word I was looking for. But I didn't see. It sounds like it's a major corporation. I didn't see anything there that would indicate that. But one thing that I have read about the Dow region of wines is that the climate there means that a lot of the wine production in that area is quite stable and quite similar. That came with pluses and negatives. So I think to be able to blend wines from multiple quintas in a cooperative type of way would work quite well in an area like that.
Great. Excellent. Okay, lovely bit of background there. A few hellos as well. Obviously, we should say boa noite. That is
boa noite. So yes, good evening, Philomena.
Philomena, and we should do our best pronunciation for Philomena, who's a Portuguese teacher. She's a Portuguese teacher, and
yes.
Nothing wrong with a good Northern lass. There's an affirmation for you from Neil Perkins there. I quite agree. Amanda Marcus says, sorry, I'm not joining. She's just watching. That must be torture, watching other people drink wine. But we'll raise a glass to you, Amanda Marcus, who is too lazy going to the shop to get nice wine. Hopefully you can join us next time. Greetings from Brighton tonight, where Stephen Kirk is cake baking. That sounds interesting, doesn't it? Tell us more, Stephen. Wishing he was here with us. Yeah, we wishing you could be with us drinking as well, but obviously it's not compatible with your job this evening. I don't think, Stephen. A cheeky glass of red. Evening to you, Gary, who's wishing us evening, ladies and gentlemen. And yeah, Amanda saying evening. She's still here watching us drink wine, which is very good of you, Amanda. So over to you then, Eloise, for your erudite skills and observations and guidance through this process. You know, I don't usually think too much about it. I like to think I choose fairly wisely, and I just don't buy the cheapest stuff that's going to get me bladdered as quickly as possible. I think I'm a little bit more discerning than that. Not that there's anything wrong with that. We're not judging. But, you know, I want to learn a bit more, but I just don't know where to start and what to do. And that's why you're here with us tonight.
Well, I to be honest with you, it is quite a journey, and you know, you would know. You just mentioned there that you might have a table wine that you might want to drink, and you know, that's perfectly good if you're just, you know, if you're just wanting, you know, if you just want to drink wine, and as you, but there are times that you might want to, you know, to get something special, and you know, and as we start to taste the wines and as we start to work our way around the different regions of wines, what we will be doing, hopefully, is developing our palate for the wines. So we will build our senses, if you like. We'll build up a memory and a memory bank of the wines that we've tasted. So it's and as we build and develop our palates with the wine, we can then start to become familiar with wines that we like and familiar with wines that we don't, and it helps with our choosing of wine. But I still think that picking a region of wine and understanding that region of wine and understanding things that are typical of that particular region will lead you to your choice of wines. So tonight we start with the Dow region. We start with a Quinta de Vale premium, and Carl, should we get it open?
Let's do it.
Because the reason that I say that is I can continue talking, but I would just like to get it open so it's breathing a little bit. But no, Carl, don't just fire in there. What are you doing? Stop.
So fallen at the first, rookie errors.
You did. Okay. So first of all, you really do just need a very basic corkscrew for this. Do we have the same one? So no. You'll take them. Have you got a little knife at the end?
That's what I was about. I was setting about the bottle already with that.
Yes. So you need to come under the second lip.
Oh, the second is of my first Richiera.
Okay. And then you need to turn the bottle and make a cut under the second lip.
Ouch! Only joking.
Ouch! Only joking. There we go. Is there anybody else actually opening wine with us?
The Austins are already ahead of us. And they
what? No.
Cracked in already. Can't blame them.
Is there any left for tasting?
And I think Druba's saying there, whoa, cowboy, take it easy. But look, very beautiful little cork detail there on the top.
Yes.
Because that's a nice little part of it, isn't it? What is it? A cortiça is Portuguese for cork, but each has their own, obviously, and a country that produces its own corks as well.
Yes.
And this is where we can get a really good outtake of either one of us pouring red wine accidentally into our keyboards and blowing up our computers, which would bring us a lot of YouTube fame, I suspect. So am I allowed to pull the cork out yet?
Yeah.
Okay. Right, so I'm
struggling because I don't. There we go.
I'm gonna see if I can get the pop onto the microphone. Here we go. Without spilling it on myself. There we go. How was that?
Nice pop.
I wouldn't get any awards as a sommelier in a restaurant doing it like that, but there you go.
Well, you mentioned sommelier. So structure-wise, so I would be an intermediate wine, spirit, and education certificate holder. Then you would get an advanced certificate holder. Then you would get a sommelier, and then you would get a master sommelier. So I'm really quite far down the pecking order. So one of the things that I was always taught to do is to just have a look and just examine the cork just to make sure there's nothing wrong with it, and maybe take a nice smell of the cork.
It smells good to me. It's a beautiful cork as well. They've taken some trouble.
It is actually quite a nice one, that.
Yeah, it is. I'll see if I can get some detail on the camera. Upside down and backwards. Sorry.
Okay.
Wine yet? There you go.
There we go. Yes. Yes.
Did you already say? Did you already say what a DOP is?
I did. It's.
That's like the equivalent of French in the appellation controller, isn't it? It's like
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Protected denomination of origin is the DOP.
So we know we're dealing with quality and a sort of accredited wine.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mentioned in one of the comments that I put on there, like a tulip-shaped glass. Now then, if you were really tasting wine, there is actually an ISO standard wine glass that you must use. It's a little bit like this kind of shape, anyway. So this is a tulip shaped glass. So to taste your wine. You're wanting to put a sample in the glass first. So
that sounds very that has a double meaning, putting a sample in the glass, but I see what you mean.
Okay, so you're not filling the glass and you're not tipping it everywhere like I have. And you're putting a sample in the glass. So just a nice amount. So Carl, I sent you some information about wine colour.
Yes, let's have a look. Catching up with you there.
It might be if you could bring that page up.
I'll do that right now. I feel like I've achieved quite a lot already by successfully decorking it and getting some in the glass without spilling it everywhere.
And not rushing to taste it.
And I haven't tasted a drop yet. I'm a bit self-conscious about my wine glass, which is not tulip shaped. It's more cheapy than tulip. It's like obviously an IKEA, 100 for £1 kind of glass, and it's lacking the trap at the top, isn't it? Because the tulip shape, it tapers a little bit, doesn't it, to maybe help the aroma collect better? I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, so before we go into any of that great stuff, swirling and doing those bits with the wine, first of all, we want to assess the colour of the wine. Oh, okay. I was reading comments there. I'll just carry on for the moment. I also mentioned a piece of white paper.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so if you tip your glass about 45 degrees and hold it against the paper.
Yeah, I need to be able to see this.
Yeah, so then you are going to be able to get a proper. I might actually need to turn a light on here. We've definitely gone buon notte now. So
sure.
So if I look at this chart. If I was looking at the chart that you've put up there, I'd actually say this is a ruby colour, and a ruby colour would be an indication of the age of the wine. Even though this is 2016, it's not been aged. It's not been aged on oak, say for example. So and you can tell that because it's quite a fresh colour. So if I could I'm just going to flick onto one of my sheets here that helps me explain. So if it was a young wine, it would be a purple colour, and then we'd move into a shade of ruby. Then we'd go into a red wine, and as the wine starts to mature and age, we'd go into more of a brick red colour. Then we'd go into a red brown colour, and then a mature wine would be a brown colour or a tawny type of colour. So we're right up there on with this wine. We're right up there on the ruby. What do you think, Carl?
Oh, yeah, well, actually, I'd have gone a bit more. Well, what do I know? I'm thinking sort of a deep purple, because I was seeing that kind of on the lip of it. You get obviously less density of wine, so it's a brighter color. But it looked a little bit like that. Medium purple, deep purple with my lighting.
Okay, I would say quite a deep ruby, but your assessment of the wine is part of how you, at the end when you finish this, the conclusion in the wine is quite personal to you and your preference of wine and how you have perceived the wine to be. But one of the things that you're holding up against the light there,
yes,
you should always hold up against the paper, because if you put it up against the light, you're going dark. Against the paper, you'll get the proper tones there. But there is a purpleness to the color of that. So I'm gonna step off ruby and come purple.
Well, you know what, as well, I just, this is new to me. I don't have anything to compare it with, or it's funny. Every wine pretty much looked the same to me before we got to this level of discernment. So
okay,
yeah.
Okay, so that's the first thing that we're going to do. So for you, it's just, we're not really concluding anything with the color of the wine, but you might be able to look at the wine. And if you were an experienced wine taster, you would be, and you might even be looking at a blind tasting. This will be really important, because we're not sniffing yet though, are we?
Sorry.
we would be looking at the wine there to see if we, to see what we could draw from the wine just based on its color. Anyway, come on, let's get to viscosity next. We're not on sniff yet, Carl. So and now we're going to go for viscosity. So the viscosity of the wine.
No, I know about this, I think.
Yeah, so this is the viscosity of the wine. So this is where you're going to coat the wine on the sides of the glass. And you're going to, as the wine starts to evaporate, you may get legs coming down the glass. The thicker and slower the legs would indicate maybe quite a full-bodied, high alcohol wine.
Mm.
But here we've got a fair viscosity on the wine, but it's you're going to say that this would be about a mid alcohol. So you've not got much remnants on the side of the glass, but there is something. So you're going to go mid alcohol. If you go back to the label again, you're looking at about 13% here, which is mid range. Mm-hmm. In terms of the alcohol. So once you've assessed the viscosity, again, if you were blind tasting, this would probably give you your an idea of your alcohol percentage before you've even tasted it.
Yeah.
So now we're going to go to the nose, Carl.
Oh, really cool. And that was the only thing I could claim to know about, or pretend to know about wine, is like how it hangs on the glass, and that phrase, it's got legs. But
yes.
That was just a bit of bluffing previously, but now I understand it better.
Yes. So now we're going to go to the nose, which really is the most important part. So the first thing you would do is just smell the wine, just as it is. So to smell the wine, if you bring the wine about 45 degrees, and you're really going to put your beak in there.
What do you mean? I see what you mean.
So really put it in there. So what you're doing there is, you're just assessing that wine. Okay, so now we're going to swirl the wine. By swirling the wine, we're aerating the wine, and now we're going to be able to tell the difference. So to swirl the wine, you can. This is now why you might need the tulip-shaped glass, so you're not flinging it around the room. I'm not much of a swirler. I love to table swirl.
Oh, what's that?
So you're an air swirler, and I'm a table swirler. So I'm just spinning it on the table.
Yes, okay.
So and then what you're trying to do here is you're trying to get the wine right up the side of the glass, and then taking another smell of the wine. Now, when smelling the wine, you're going to get a fatigue on the nose after about 6 seconds. So what you might want to do...
A fatigue?
a fatigue. Your nose will fatigue after about 6 seconds.
Yep.
So something that you can do is take short, quick sniffs.
Like you're smelling a baby's head or something like that.
Yeah, or like your dog who's sniffing. Okay, so by when you smell the wine, what you're now looking for is can you get anything from the smell?
Well, what I get is quite alcoholic. I get a good blast of like spirit straight away.
It tastes. It smells quite. Sorry, it tastes. It smells quite full bodied, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. It seems like it does seem quite a fruity. For me, it's quite fruity. But again, this is where we're all going to feel something very different here, Carl, because I'm going to pick up something you might not smell. You might not get fruit yet. You might get fruit a little bit further down in the tasting. I can smell some quite strong fruit there. So I'm thinking like black fruit, but like fruit, plummy cherry type. Anyway, should we go for a taste, Carl?
Yeah, I would agree with you. I'm getting the more kind of petrol-y end of fruit. You know, like strong, not like grapey fruit, but like strong fruit. Are we allowed to taste?
Yeah, let's go. Yeah.
Saud says Joaquin de Fonseca, who's joined us tonight. A good greeting. Nice.
Joaquin.
Oh, sorry.
Joaquin.
Oh, sorry. Julie Marsh is joining us with the Matthias on the veranda. Most people drink it out of a glass, Julie, but whatever.
Okay.
All right, we go.
So when we taste, Carl, sorry to interrupt. When we taste, the very first taste that you're going to want to do is just as you've aerated all of that wine around the glass, you're going to want to try and do the very same thing around your palate. Ooh, yeah. So almost like you were with washing your mouth out with like a mouthwash. So you're wanting to swill it round all of your mouth to bring alive all of the different taste buds on the tongue.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm reminded that a COVID symptom is lack of taste, isn't it? I'm thinking, oh my god, it's a diagnosis as well as a wine tasting.
Okay, so we'll go for another taste, and then we'll talk about what we're tasting.
I hope that isn't interesting for people hearing us gulping and slurping. Too late now.
Something that you can do now to tap into that smell again. If you breathe through your mouth and out through your nose, you'll get a second smell of wine coming from the back of your mouth across the nose area again.
Well, I never.
So, and that's the equivalent of your slurping. So when you hear them slurping, they're trying to bring air across the top of the mouth to put more, to bring air so that they can identify the flavors. But if you don't like to do that, another thing is to breathe in through the mouth and out through the nose, and you'll feel it come across the nose there. So what are we picking up? So first of all, you're going to identify if you can taste any fruit in this. Yeah, I'm still getting I'm actually getting quite a lot of cherry. It's quite a sour cherry, quite a sour cherry. I'm getting it's quite heavy plum. Okay, So I've picked out 2 fruits. I don't know if you've got any, but sometimes they say if you can pick out from the fruits section, if you can pick out maybe about 3 different kind of fruits. What I'm picking up with this wine is that there isn't much sweetness to it. If you were tasting sweetness in the mouth, which is what the Matthias individuals out there tonight will be tasting, you'll pick sweetness up right on the tip of your tongue. There's nothing on the tip of the tongue here. This isn't a very sweet wine. As we've swallowed the wine, that maybe peach. Okay. But what we've also noticed when we smelt the wine, it smelt like it had quite a high alcohol content. But as you're tasting the wine, there's no burn at the back of the throat here. It's so that would indicate that as we see with the viscosity of the wine, it's about a 13%. So it's a mid-alcohol wine, and you're not getting any burn. Acidity on the wine, I'd say this is quite a medium acidity. Actually, it's really quite a nice wine. So the things that you're looking for is you're looking for your fruits. So blackcurrant for sure. Okay. So you're looking for your fruits, you're looking for your acidity or your sweetness. So I don't feel it's too acidic, but it's definitely not sweet. So you were looking at this on a sliding scale from sweet to acidic, you'd be coming up the scale a little bit to like a mid acidity. Body of the wine, I'd say that's quite a full-bodied kind of quite a full body taste to that.
Now, of course, as you start to taste it, these things are changing, aren't they, as well?
They're changing all the time. If I was to be drinking this wine at the table, I would have probably opened it, I don't know, 30 minutes to an hour before I was drinking it, to let the wine aerate. There's just one really key thing here with red wines that I need to talk about that we haven't done. So we've talked about the fruit, we've talked about the acidity and the sweetness, we've talked about the body of the wine. We haven't mentioned the tannins. Now, I don't find the tannins very high on this, so I'm just going to need to top up, because I've done a really good job of taking my sample.
I already took the liberty off screen there.
So the one thing that we haven't talked about is the tannins. And tannins are really important on wine. And where you'll pick the tannins up in the mouth, that's really nice actually. Where you pick the tannins up on the mouth are at the side of the mouth. So sometimes if a wine is high in tannin, you will feel it quite rough around the mouth afterwards. So and this doesn't really have, it's not high in tannins. Now, from what I've read, the Dow region hasn't been a very popular wine in the past because of the high tannic content to the wine, and the tannic content comes from how long the wine has been on the grape. Sorry, so the wine has been on the grape. So the longer on the skin as the wine is being produced, the higher the tannin content. And that's something that's really important with wine. And it's almost like it could leave like a funny feeling in your mouth, the tannins. I don't see this being high on that. It's actually quite a smooth wine. Yeah, I think it's smooth. So I would say the tannins are quite low. When you're drinking wine and you taste the tannins are a reaction to the molecules on your tongue. So you would, if you were drinking a wine that was heavy on the tannins, I think it's meant to be some reaction to the protein. The protein molecules on your tongue reacting with the molecules in the wine, in the tannins. And obviously when you get that reaction, that's how you can feel if there is a if it's got high tannins. This doesn't have high tannins, but if it was high tannins, something that you might do is, for example, pair the wine with a meat. Because as you're eating the meat has got the proteins in there, the wine and the meat, it's kind of mellowing out the tannins in the wine. But and just one final thing as you're tasting the wine, it's the length of finish on the wine. So
I got a long tail on that.
Yeah, that taste is really lingering in the mouth quite pleasantly. I think it's warm. I would almost say it feels a little bit. I don't think that's alcohol. Well, it's not indicated by alcohol. There is a slight pepperiness, slight warmth to the wine, or to the finish.
Amazing. That's a whole new dimension to me of the what's that part of the process called? The length.
That's just the finish, the length and how long that is, and that would kind of, you would be looking then to indicate, the quality of the wine. If that taste is disappearing from your mouth very quickly. I actually really like this wine, Carl, and that kind of comes down to the final thing when you have a wine is your conclusion of the wine. So that would be kind of your summary of what you thought of the wine, and that might grab a bottle. So that might and your conclusion of the wine might then lead to how you might pair this wine with a food. So, for example, if you were drinking a red and the color of the wine was quite young, so you were quite ruby on the wine, or you had the purple colors, you'd be leading to a slightly lighter red that it might be okay to drink on a warmer summer's night. If it was a very aged and darker wine, you would see that as a bit of a colder, more warming a more colder night, where you'd feel something a bit warmer and the meal might be a bit heavier. So that's kind of the color scale and how you would pair your wine. So in kind of concluding that you've got your color, so you're kind of aging the wine. You've got your viscosity and the alcohol content. So again, you would be thinking, what might I, if it was this to me, this would be good for most tables.
Yeah, too true. And I love that. When you get into that sophistication and richness of, your reference points and
yes,
looking at it from a broader point of view, you are thinking then, aren't you? Okay, that's going to work well with that recipe and at that time of year and that sort of thing, rather than just like, okay, that's €6, that'll do fine.
Yeah, but of course you're only going to, as you build up your knowledge on your palate now. So this is our very first tasting, and then we'll go somewhere completely different with a white wine. As we're concluding the wine, you would then start to look at this and say, well, you've looked at the color, the viscosity. It's not very high in alcohol. On the nose, there was nothing over pronounced. It was quite rounded, with a really nice. With a really nice plum cherry. I'm getting more cherry now. Now it's sat in the glass. I'm getting more cherry, which is lightening it a little bit. So on the nose, it's quite balanced. There's nothing harsh coming through there. On the taste, there was nothing harsh on the taste. The tannins weren't too strong. Body of the wine, I'd still say it's quite a full-bodied wine. That it wasn't too acidic or too. It wasn't too acidic and it wasn't too sweet. It's quite fruity, but it's all balanced. And the length it had quite a nice, long, smooth length. So, in my opinion, I would say this is a very balanced wine. There's nothing too pronounced here. It's very drinkable. I think it could pair quite well with. Pair quite well with most. Maybe wouldn't go for light salads with it. Maybe a heavier salad with it, or
I I'm thinking with a cheese board, this would be a pretty good pairing.
Yes, it would. It would. But sometimes, if you think when you're taking on the cheese, you could probably, you might want a wine that is a little bit more acidic or higher tannins, because you've started to alter what's going on in your palate with different proteins going on there with the cheese. So therefore, some of the other wines that have some of the other elements, the tannins and the acidity in there, to cut through that. But I'd say this was. It does taste better after opening. It does. Your wine's going to change significantly.
Now, if you go to a tasting, have they opened the wine up before you get there, or is part of a tasting to taste it as it comes out of the bottle?
It's to do both. It's to taste it as it comes out of the bottle, to assess the cork. Somebody asked what you're looking for on the cork. You're just making sure that there's no damage, because obviously the worst thing to a wine is for it to be corked. So you're just, does the cork look intact, especially on some older bottles that have maybe been laid for a while. So does everything look okay on the cork? Does it smell okay? No, nothing musty. Yeah. I think this is a really. I probably would be going. I'd probably, if I was to be looking at a ranking of, if you look at all of these 5 points, I would probably give this wine a 3.5, something like that, 3.5 out of 5.
Okay, I've got a little bit more insight from Neil there. With the strong tannin content in most big Portuguese wines, Dow and Southern Alentejo wines, opening at least 30 minutes to an hour prior to drinking really does reveal a difference, as you've said. So I would always take a sip and smell when first open and be amazed at the difference when it has time to aerate. Not a wine snob, but 14 years of getting squiffy on Portuguese wine. That's quite a qualification, 14 years of getting squiffy. And I should say,
I think if 14 years, especially on Portuguese wines, that's some time there.
He's experienced. I should say as well, this is the Good Morning Portugal Wine Club, and we urge you that you should be over legal drinking age, and if you're not, stop it immediately and go to your room, which probably needs tidying up, and to drink responsibly as well. A few shout outs from in the comments as well. Thank you, Gary and the Austins, for your suggestions and insights as well. And how lovely to have Shannon calling us or commenting in, I believe, in Texas, in the United States, who said earlier, if wine drinking, I'm in. So join us next time, Shannon. You'd be most welcome to try. Well, we'll have to ship a Portuguese bottle out in question to you to try. Tell us how available are Portuguese wines to you in the States, because we were talking before saying that we keep all the best wine here. It doesn't really go out of the country, but
I think we do.
They do in the States. Yes, an export market.
No, I think we keep the best wines here in Portugal.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. And Gary's question: what is the ideal temperature for a red? I know they indicate this one should be 16 degrees, 61. I mean, do people really put the temperature, the thermometer next to it?
No, but I don't think you would want it to be getting too warm
or too cold.
Well, no, not too. No, I know they're saying 16 here for this, but you're going to be looking room temperature, but not too warm.
Okay, and I think 50 is not a temperature, but the amount of years Amanda might have been drinking Portuguese wine. If I have got that wrong, I apologise, but I think that's what she's getting at. And look, Costco in the States carries a nice Portuguese red. We'd like to know what that Portuguese red is, and it might be worthy of consideration that we could all try that across the globe. You in America over there, Shannon. Lovely picture there of hubby and grandson. And we could link up one evening. What time is it for you? She must be on about. She's on red already in the afternoon. Nice one. Good work. Eloise, so those were your concluding notes, like a 3.5 out of 5 for this, you're thinking?
Yeah, I feel it's pretty. I feel it's a pretty balanced wine. There's nothing too harsh about this. It's nice. I think it would pair well across most tables. And yeah, I'd give that a 3.5. I'm definitely going to enjoy the rest of the bottle.
That's a promise.
I'm here on my own. Who else is going to drink it?
Well, it's funny. It's been so lovely for you to share your skills with us. Oh, look, Amanda's saying, is it okay to drink? Yeah, over 50, I think it's safe to drink. Sorry, I cast the wrong aspersion there that you'd been drinking for more than 50 years. I do beg your pardon. that would make you 68 or an underage drinker for a part of that. So do please accept my apology. I've had a couple of glasses of wine, forgive me. And I'll let you know, I already drank my case. Crikey, she's on it already. And it's only some way through the afternoon. Great to hear from you, Shannon. But yeah, Louise, thank you so much. Do we talk a little bit about where else we might be going? And because we've got a beautiful chart of the whole of Portugal, haven't we? Should we have a little look at that before we sign off and tease ourselves with where we might go next with the wines of Portugal? We've got such a rich theme, I think, to explore. And that's what
we have.
Obviously, you talk us through this, and I'll scroll down.
Goodness me, I can't see it. I'm going to have to open up my. I'm going to have to open up my own version of it.
It all gets a bit more difficult after a couple of glasses, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, we've started in the Dow region. So if you, I think if we were to go into the Minho region there, this is if your Vinho Verde. We could that would be nice to cut straight across and try a Vinho Verde next, if you like.
I'm up for that.
Sorry?
I'm up for that. I think Vinho Verde is such another underestimated and an excellent experience.
Well, actually, yeah, I tasted some for the first time the other night, and I had a mixed opinion of it, but yeah, it's still we can still go there. It's all part of the journey. So if we'd like to try a nice Vinho Verde next. I just think we should go on a wine journey across the different regions, and if anybody's got has ever has tasted a particular wine that they think might be worthy of us all grabbing a bottle, then sure, let's do that.
It looks like a great possible road trip for a few of us.
A road trip, yeah.
Incredible. That's a really nice resource there, winefolly.com, deep dive. Yes. What wines to drink from Portugal by region. That's a fantastic thing. So let me just pop that in the comments as well. So do you have a final tasting note for us, or any other guidance?
Mm-hmm. Excuse me. Yes, I've sent another file to you, Carl, which is the Dow region file that I sent to you. If we could put a link on for that. This is a really great resource here. So it's just explaining a little bit about the Dow wine and a little bit about that region. I don't know. Do you have that on?
Yeah, I'll get that up for you now. An interesting comment there from Neil again about cold red, and sometimes not code red, but cold red. It's interesting, I think, that. That's in the right context, obviously this wine is meant to be drunk at a certain temperature, but some reds are designed and enjoyed best when they're colder. And where I am in the Bairrada region, there's a fizzy red which is absolutely delicious as well.
Oh, nice.
So that's another thing we could try one evening. I think a fizzy red, which would be a new experience for a lot of people. So is this image, shall I call that up onto the screen? Doing this is a lot harder after a couple of glasses of wine. I can assure you, I don't normally drink in the mornings. I mean, not that any of you would judge me, I'm sure, but I tend to do it without a couple of glasses of wine. This is a very different experience tonight. Is that the one you want there?
Yeah. So there's a bit about the history of the Dow region of wine there. But if you come down to the bottom of this, the bottom of that page, please, Carl.
Oh, I say,
This is a really great resource here. Up a tiny bit, just so I can see the tabs at the top.
Gotcha. Oh yes.
Okay. So by the Dow region, what you have here is just a selection of wines. So you've got your most popular wines, and you can click on these wines, and obviously you've got the average price there. You've got your best wine, your best value, your most expensive, and your cheapest. So if you really wanted to delve into this Dow region and looking at the particular grapes, we haven't gone so much into grapes. On this particular tasting, I can tell you that this is a 3-variety blend. So this is a Tintorores. That's 40% Tintorores, 35% Alfrescero, and 25% Jean. So this is a three grape variety blend, but that I found that a really good resource. So if you like the taste of these wines, and you can explore a little bit more there, and about some of the wines that are available to purchase from that particular region.
Fantastic. Would love to do. This is great. Would love to do a semi-sweet white. Oh, and a big shout out. That's from Amanda. Thank you, Amanda. A shout out to I think he's called Gordianus on YouTube. He's chipped in with a few comments about Portuguese wine. So if you pick this up on YouTube, Gordianus, please join us one night and keep those recommendations coming to us. And congratulations, we've done fairly well. We haven't slipped much Portuguese in. Parabéns there from Carly Eloise. I think she said to you earlier on, muito bem for your pronunciation. And we might have said about. Oh yeah, I mean, we might have said about the wine muito bom, and we perhaps should learn a little bit more Portuguese in terms of describing the structure and flavour and the fruits and so on. So we'll get around to that. Some very good advice from Neil. Don't drink and surf. That it sounds like he's speaking from bitter experience. There's the resource with the various tabs of how you can cross-reference wines in a region. And from America now, Confidencial Reserva Tinta Red 2015. That sounds good. It's either sounds good because of the name there, or it's what the Portuguese people are happy to get rid of and send to America. The only way for us to find out is to try it, I think, one evening. So maybe we will. Thank you again, Eloise. Really appreciate your skills. Are you up for doing
Thank you, Carl. Thank you for having me.
Not at all. Do you want to do it again?
Well, I'd love to. Does anybody else?
Well, we will find out in the comments. Do enjoy responsibly. Oh, you're grown-ups, do what you like, but do enjoy the rest of your evenings, and thank you so much for joining us tonight for this rather nice leisurely exploration into this Portuguese red. Just a final screenshot there of it, if I can spin it. Oh dear, look, 2 glasses and I'm struggling. Quinta de Vale premium from the Seacampo. And the Seacampo Corporation wine producer. And look, for sure, Shannon's up for it another night. That'd be so lovely. Get a few of your American friends joining us. We'll do a special. We'll try that Confidential Reserve 2015. Of course, if it hasn't all been sent to America, absolutely from Amanda. Next time, I will bring wine with. Good, Amanda. We've got you. We've got you in our wine tasting cult in one go. Fantastic. Thanks, everybody. Go on.
Yeah, I'll close. Could I just close on something? I forgot to mention it, but I have I've recorded all of everything that we've done in here in a little notebook, and I just would I would encourage people to do that, just for your own little notes, just to see if you can pick up any, just see how your palate is developing as we your palate is developing on our journey around Portugal.
Fantastic. Those comments are a bit distracting, aren't they? But it's just Neil saying thank you for putting up with me. But
thank you for joining us, Neil.
Yeah, and it's not like everyone has to stay in their living rooms. You can come on screen as well, and we can jump on and give us your reflections on the wine in question as well. So that'll be good. The invitation is open there as well. We can get 6 people on this screen, and we can all at that moment when we all give our findings and when we've got into the routine. it would be lovely to have 6 people on the screen saying what they think of it.
I think it'd be fantastic.
So from me, from Eloise, and from Filomena, até a próxima.
Until next time, até a próxima. Yeah. Okay.
Tchau, tchau, beijinhos, abraço.